ever wondered why you have a bazillion choices for some things, but you're stuck with just one option for others? Well, I promise you, that's not by accident. Today, we're going to dive into the hidden rules of the game that really shape our economy, the stuff that controls everything from the price of your coffee to your phone plan. So let's get right into it. Seriously, think about that for a second. You walk into a grocery store and you are staring at a literal wall of cereal boxes, right? They're all fighting for your eyeballs. But then when it comes time to set up your Wi-Fi, suddenly your options might shrink down to just one, maybe two companies if you're lucky. That is not a coincidence. It all boils down to how these two very different markets are actually built. So there's a name for this whole concept. It's called market structure. And honestly, the best way to think about it is as the rule book for any industry. It's all defined by a few key things. How many companies are even in the game? Are all their products basically the same, or are they different? And maybe most importantly, how hard is it for a new company to just show up and start competing? To make this all make sense, we're going to lay it all out on a spectrum. Think of it as a sliding scale that measures just one thing: how much competition there is. We're going to use this as our guide, starting with markets that are just buzzing with activity and going all the way to the other side, where there's, well, no competition at all. So picture this. On the far left, you've got a super busy, chaotic marketplace with tons of sellers. On the far right, you've got a single, lonely fortress with one ruler in charge. All four of the market types we're going to talk about fit somewhere on this line. So let's start at the most crowded, most competitive end first. And here we are. Our first stop is what economists call perfect competition. Now, I gotta say, this is more of a theoretical idea. It's the absolute maximum 100% level of competition you could ever imagine. It's kind of the gold standard that we measure everything else against. To make this real, just picture a giant farmer's market on a Sunday morning. You've got dozens of farmers, and let's say they're all selling carrots. As a customer, you're looking at these carrots, and let's be honest, a carrot is a carrot. They're all pretty much identical. This super simple scene is actually the perfect way to understand how this whole thing works. So what are the ingredients for this intense competition? First, you have a ton of buyers and sellers, which means no single farmer has any real power. Next, the products are homogeneous. That's just a fancy word for identical. Your carrots look just like the carrots at the next stall. Free entry and exit means if selling carrots is suddenly super profitable, new farmers can easily set up a stand tomorrow. And finally, with perfect knowledge, everyone knows the going rate for carrots, so nobody can get away with ripping you off. So here's the absolute key takeaway. That individual farmer, they have zero, and I mean zero power over the price. If the market says carrots are $2 a bag, that's the price, period. A farmer can't just decide, you know what, my carrots are worth $3. Why? Because you'll just walk 10 feet to the next stall and buy them for $2. They are what we call price takers. They have to accept the price that the entire market sets. The market is king. Okay, let's slingshot all the way to the other end of our spectrum. We are going from thousands of sellers down to just one. Welcome to the monopoly. This is a word that probably sounds a whole lot more familiar to you. The classic example here is probably your local water or electricity company, right? You don't get to shop around for different water providers. There's just the one. Another really good example is a pharma company that gets a patent on a brand new life-saving drug. For as long as that patent is active, they are the only ones on the planet who are allowed to sell it. So what's the DNA of a monopoly? Well, there are three main things. First, one single company is the entire industry. Second, the product has no close substitutes. You can't just decide to use soda instead of the water that comes out of your tap. And third, this one is critical. There are massive barriers to entry. Think of these as giant brick walls that keep competitors out, like the insane cost of building a new power grid or a legal patent that literally says no one else can make this. And this is where you see the huge power shift. Remember our farmer, the price taker? Well, the monopolist is a price setter. Because they're the only game in town, they get to choose the price for their product. And you can bet they're going to set it at whatever level makes them the most money. Okay, so we've looked at the two wild extremes, a world with infinite competition and a world with none at all. But let's be real, most of the businesses you and I deal with every single day live somewhere in the messy middle of our spectrum. And this is where things get really interesting. So these two middle zones are called monopolistic competition and oligopoly. On one side, monopolistic competition has a lot of companies, kind of like our farmers market, but their products are a little bit different. Think about every coffee shop in your town. On the other side, you've got an oligopoly, which is a market totally dominated by just a handful of huge companies. Think smartphones or big airlines. Let's zoom in on monopolistic competition for a second. This whole market is about one thing, making your product feel special. I mean, coffee shops all sell coffee, but they compete on their branding, on the quality of their beans, the vibe of the shop. This differentiation is what gives each coffee shop its own little mini monopoly on its unique experience. And that's exactly why they can charge a bit more than just a generic cup of coffee. Now for the oligopoly. This is the game of giants. Just think about the phone in your hand. It's almost guaranteed that its operating system is made by one of just two companies. That's an oligopoly. The keyword to understand here is interdependent. It just means they are all constantly watching each other's every single move. If one company launches a new phone or drops its price, you know the others have to react. It's like a constant high-stakes chess match. All right, we've walked across the entire spectrum, from 1,000 farmers selling carrots all the way to a single powerful CEO. But so what? What does any of this economic jargon actually mean for you? Let's put it all together. Just look at the pattern here. As you move down this chart from perfect competition to monopoly, what happens? The number of companies shrinks. And as the number of firms goes down, their power over the price you pay goes way, way up. The bottom line for us? Less competition almost always means higher prices and fewer choices. It's the whole reason for that cereal aisle versus your one option for home internet. So that leaves us with a huge question for our time. All these giant tech platforms we use every day, do they even fit into these classic models? Are they just a few big players in a game? Or have they evolved into something totally new, a new kind of monopoly built for our digital age? That is definitely something worth thinking about. Thanks for joining me on this one.